Perfect. Perfect. Perfect.
The Philadelphia 76ers take game one against the Wizards by a final score of 125-118. It was certainly an interesting game, a lot of back and forth, a lot of ups and downs, but down the stretch, the Sixers hit some key clutch buckets and make some late game stops on key possessions as they get the dub. What is going on, everybody? RB here. Welcome back to Philly Take with RB. You know what to do. Smash the like, hit the subscribe, and hit that notification bell. That way you're always notified when I upload or go live. We go live for every single Sixers game. Shout out to everyone who was in the stream. And we also do post-game recaps. But I want to start with this one because what a game, man. And what a performance by the grown man himself, Tobias Harris. 37 points, 15 for 29 from the field, along with 6 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals. Tobias Harris was a grown man tonight, and he was absolutely sensational. You know what I mean? I mean, we talked about Tobias Harris in the preview, and I said he would have a good series, but man, what a way to make your mark on this. Coming out, finding your spots on the floor, hitting your shots, getting to where you needed to be. He was locked in. He was focused, right? The mid-range, his bread and butter, even from long range, he was 2 for 5. Tobias Harris was locked in, and he was the main scorer tonight. And he was a guy where you could just give him the ball, and you felt it was going to be a bucket. You felt it was going in every time Tobias Harris touched the ball. He was sensational, man, and he got us off to a quick start. 10 points in the first however many minutes. He was just locked in the entire game. In addition to Tobias Harris, Joel Embiid, 30 points in this one, and it was definitely an interesting 30, going 9 for 16 from the field, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists. Joel Embiid was essentially taken out of the game in the first half. He only played 10 minutes. I think he had 9 points, and he was essentially taken out. Now, I guess we'll go on a little bit of a soliloquy about the refs, because all season I haven't really been talking about the refs and saying this is why a certain game happened or this or that. But today I feel it is right, because the NBA officiating should be embarrassed of themselves. It was so piss poor. They called 3 fouls on Joel early. The first one was probably legit, but the second one and the third one were just they were just asinine. They were not even close to being fouls on Alex Len. Joel started 1 for 4, and he was instantly taken out. Doc really couldn't challenge those. I guess he could have if he felt the need to, if he felt it was that important, maybe the third one, right? But you want to save that challenge as a coach, and for the refs to call those ticky-tack fouls on a superstar like Joel Embiid was just inexcusable. But even with that, and even as he went out, and this Sixers team started hot and then struggled, right? They came out with energy, and when Joel went out, their anchor, right? It just felt like the offense was crumbling a little bit. He still put up 30 points. Joel had 30 points by the end of this game, and it's just sensational to see the kind of impact he has. The Wizards have absolutely no answer, and Joel down the stretch, right, getting late clutch buckets. One was off 1 foot, a turnaround fade. The other, he was being double teamed, and Joel was the guy in crunch time when we needed a bucket. He stepped up and knocked down a shot, and he just did it in flow. You know what I mean? It just looked way too easy for Joel Embiid. What a game. Like I said, 9 for 16. 12 for 13 from the line. I started to give him the calls in the second half, and let's not be too biased here. Like, the calls were bad on both sides of the floor, and it started to get a little bit bad for Washington in the second half. How Neto had a technical after knocking down a 3, it was insane. But Joel, man, had a pretty good game. And when you have Tobias putting up 37 and Joel putting up 30, it's hard to imagine this team losing a game, right? I said, is 22 going to be enough from Tobias? He had 37. What a way to make your mark on this vengeance tour. You know, Tobias Harris wanted to come back and show that his consistency this season is not a fluke, and that last year's postseason series where he played awful is not going to repeat itself. So great games from them. Ben Simmons finishes with 6 points, 15 rebounds, and 15 assists, along with a steal and a block, and only 2 turnovers, which I really like. 3 for 9 from the field from Ben. And I'm gonna be honest, I liked Ben's game today. There's nothing I can really go and say and get really aggravated with Ben about. Sure, he could be more aggressive in the scoring aspect. When Joel Embiid went out in the first quarter, right? Embiid and Simmons came out very aggressive, and when Joel went out because of the foul trouble, I thought Ben could have taken some possessions to the rack, but he did not. He fell into that facilitator role. But when he made it up for it in the second half with his rebounding, his facilitating, he led a huge stretch, right? In the first half, the problem was Danny Green and Seth were not really that open. They weren't getting to their spots, and they weren't putting up shots. And the Sixers were 3 for 17 as a team from long range, and that cannot happen. And when when our shooters are not hitting shots, we say who is going to step up and be aggressive. Ben wasn't aggressive, but he did lead a stretch in the third quarter when the Sixers' energy ramped back up. He had a nice steal on Bradley Beal. And by the way, Ben Simmons' defense was great in this game. You can look at Bradley Beal, who had 33 on 13 for 23 from the field. I think that's a little bit misconstrued. I thought Ben Simmons played pretty well on Bradley Beal and did what he had to. He definitely clamped him up in the first quarter. But overall, Ben Simmons his steal led to a charge, and I think there was like 3 or 4 threes in this game in a row from Danny and Seth, and that was kind of the momentum flip. That was kind of flipping the switch for the second time. The first time was when Joel Embiid went out with foul trouble. It kind of flipped over to the Wizards side. And then when we hit those threes in the third quarter, we just went running and really did not look back the rest of the game. But I can't be mad about Ben Simmons, except for one aspect, and that is the free throw shooting. 0 for 6 is inexcusable. That's the only thing I'll really get mad about in terms of Ben Simmons. If you're assisting your teammates, if you're grabbing boards like that, and we win, I have no problem. This is the playoffs. This is not the regular season. However, if you go to the line late in this game and you miss 4 free throws in a row, that can't happen, because this is the Wizards, but against a better team, that will cost us and might even potentially cost us a game. So that cannot happen. But overall, besides that, I thought Ben had a pretty good game. Like I said, Danny and Seth took some time to get going, but they did, and they played well. And overall, I really liked the defense from this team. They locked in when they had to. There were stretches in this game to start off, and most importantly, to end in the fourth, where we just looked locked in. Whether, Bradley Beal was on fire, but making him settle for a late pass to Russell Westbrook and living with a Westbrook 3 that was great. We left a couple of the shooters open, but overall, there were stretches in this game, and the Sixers defense locked in. I picked this Sixers defense before the season to be a top 3 defense in the league. It was a hot take here on the channel, and it ended up being true. We were the number 2 defense in terms of efficiency, and the Sixers defense, they did what I wanted to see. They locked in, and they got it done when we had to. And if we play defense like this, we have a chance against anybody in this entire league. Russell Westbrook only had 16 points, did have 14 dimes though, and 5 rebounds. But overall, whether it was him stepping out or whether it was a couple steals, I thought we did a pretty good job on Westbrook, pushing it out to the shooters. I don't think Roy Hachimura is going to go 2 for 2 from long range every game. I don't think Alex Len, who was taking like 5 shots in the first quarter, is going to do that every game. And I don't think Davis Bertans, who had 14 off the bench, is going to be hitting that consistently every game. Now, when we get to the Sixers bench, I thought they played pretty well. And we'll talk about Doc in a second, but George Hill was exceptional, man. 11 points, 5 for 8 off the bench. I really liked what George Hill brought to this team. When we went out at the deadline and got him, this is exactly what for. You could just see him leading the charge off the bench and other guys just following his suit, because he's been here. He knows the type of environment, and nothing is going to rattle George Hill. And I like how he was kind of setting guys up and really just getting to where he needed to go, laying it up under the basket. George Hill was great, and this is what I expect from him all playoffs long. A lot of people have kind of been on him, and I've been saying, take the chill pill, man. George Hill's going to be just fine. He was great. Dwight Howard had an early entrance, 7 points, 4 rebounds, and a steal. Dwight Howard had the energy going. Now, the lack of interior defense was 1, due to Dwight Howard, and 2, due to the fact that even when Joel Embiid came back in, and he talked about this after the game, he said, I just didn't feel that I could exert myself, because he didn't want to pick up a 4th foul, and I don't blame him. The rest were absolutely terrible, so the interior defense does have to get better. There were times where Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal, it seemed like they were going to the rack way too easy, but I do expect that'll pick up, and I think the refs aren't going to call egregious fouls like they did today. But George Hill and Dwight Howard played pretty well for me. Then when you talk about Furkan and Shake, and I've been talking about this for way too long now. We talked about it in the preview, but Doc actually made good adjustments, and he went with the feel of the game, right? That element of feel, that situational feel. Doc went with it. Furkan and Shake were some of his first bench pieces in this game, and Shake Milton went 0 for 2 and Furkan went 0 for 3. Furkan played 5 minutes in this game, did not see the floor again. Now, Tyrese Maxey came in because Seth Curry went down with an injury. Thank God he's okay. Seth had a pretty good game, especially in the second half. But Tyrese Maxey came in and provided that spark right away. Went right to the basket and won off the glass, knocking it in. And I thought Tyrese Maxey provided a nice spark, and I want to see what he continues to do with this team. And Doc rode him in the second half. Doc kept Tyrese Maxey in instead of electing to go back to Furkan Korkmaz. I thought it was exceptional. Shake Milton finishes this game 1 for 3, hit a nice shot, but other than that, he did not look that well. But I'm glad that Doc went with Tyrese Maxey. He kept Matisse Thybulle in for 14 minutes. He did not hit a shot, and obviously we're going to need him to hit shots if he wants to stay in. But his defense was okay on Bradley Beal. I didn't think Matisse had a great game. Thought the spotlight was kind of big, and it is trying to go up against Bradley Beal, and Bradley had his way with Matisse. But overall, I thought this team played really good defense. They stepped up when they had to. And when you're getting 37 from Tobias, 30 from Joel Embiid, and you're getting 6 and 15 rebounds and 15 assists from Ben, this is winning basketball, right? And overall, I feel like, there's haters out there that were calling for this game or this series to go 7 games, and the Sixers are going to have a tough time. And now everybody's suddenly switching their picks to a sweep or 5 games. And you know why? It's because this game had the feel that the Wizards had their best chance to steal one today. They did. They did, right? With the foul trouble and going up, and it felt like they had control at one point, but the Sixers went running in the third quarter and their defense stepped up. And honestly, if the Wizards couldn't pull this one out today, who knows if they're going to pull one out at all? I said 5 games. I do still think that the Wizards might heat up in DC and get one of these games where nobody is missing, and maybe they take one from us. But overall, I don't think they're going to win in Philadelphia. The fans were ecstatic. You could hear certain points in the game. I was doing a live stream, but you could hear the fans getting up in the arena going crazy. They said it was 10, 11,000. Even Doc said it felt way more than 11,000 people. It was exciting, and we're going to continue to get more fans back. Philly's going to be a tough place to play, even in further series, in a game 6, a game 7, it's going to be really hard to play in Philly. And I loved how our crowd had that energy flowing. And overall, the Wizards, it felt like this was their game to steal, and the Sixers still stepped it up and clamped up when they needed to. A beautiful win, 125-118 for the Philadelphia 76ers. Again, we will be live for every single Sixers game, and we'll be doing post-game recaps like this. I know it's a little later, but needed to rest a little bit. But man, what a day for the Sixers, and a great way to start off the Sixers journey to the finals. 1 down, 15 more to go. We saw a lot today, and I like how our guys kind of got the rust off and got acclimated back to that playoff culture. And I was really happy across the board with what I saw today. That's just my thoughts. Let me know all your thoughts down below in the comment section. How do you feel about this game? What were your biggest takeaways, and how do you feel moving into game 2? Give me all your thoughts. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one, man. Peace.
Perfect.